let's get started. So, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and accepting my invitation. It's greatly appreciated, and I'm sure everyone in this VC is just as appreciative as I am for you to do this. So,
Mhm.
a big thank you to you for that.
Yeah,
Um,
happy to be here.
yeah, but let's just get straight into the first question. How did you get into Smash?
Smash is just a game that I picked up a long time ago. When I was just a kid, my first game was Melee. I played like Falco or Falcon or Fox, one of the fast followers, and it was fun. Growing up, it was just casual for me to play Smash with like my cousins or friends or whatever. But I learned about competitive Smash in like 2013, around that time when Evo um, happened for Melee, and the documentary came out, and that's when I wanted to play competitively. So Brawl was the current game at that time, but I didn't really. I was really young at the time, like 14 probably. So I wouldn't be able to go to many tournaments. Plus, there probably wouldn't be many in my area. So I just figured I'll wait till the next Smash, which was coming out 2014, and then it came out. And today's actually the anniversary of that. October 3rd, 2014 is when
Oh,
Smash
for
for
real?
3DS came out. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And
That's
that's the first game I ever waited in line for, and still the only game I waited in line for. But I picked it up. I played. I wanted some quick points on quick play, or well, it wasn't quick play. It was I forget. For Glory. For Glory was the name of it.
yeah.
hmm And I just like played Mario and Wario for like the first few days, and then I picked up Mega Man within like a week or two, and I've stuck with him ever since.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great 'cause that's gonna get my next question. Why, like, what made you gravitate towards Mega Man?
hmm Mega Man was just unique. I like I said, I'd been playing Smash for since Melee came out, and the so that'd be around the better part of a decade between Melee and Smash 4. I played it casually. I played like many different characters in Brawl just casually and stuff like that, but there was no one that was like Mega Man. Instead of like swinging a sword or a limb, like DK forward tilt or anything like that, whenever I would do a forward tilt, he shot his gun out, his Mega Blaster, Buster, Mega Buster, and walked forward, and I thought that was really cool. And so I just kept on playing him, and he had like a ton of other cool things as well. Just visually, he's blue and a robot. I thought that was really cool. I like his movement. He's a fast faller. He has very unique moves in general. Other than pellets, he's got up air. Like half his moveset is projectiles. He has a fist that you can shoot out at people for down air. He can punch people with up tilt. I thought all of that was really cool, so I just stuck with him.
Yeah. So obviously you got into Smash way back in Melee and only started getting competitive around the time when Smash 4 came out.
hmm
When you started really getting into the competitive scene and figuring things out, who was like your favorite Smash player? Who like gave you the drive to want to improve and compete and, be like them?
hmm So early on in Smash 4, I don't think I had like an inspiration per se, but I had someone to look towards, and that was Scat. I uh, Early on in Smash 4, I had like a big ego. I thought I was like really good, um, better than Scat. And if we recall, Scat was like the premier Mega Man of early Smash 4, and he's still good. But back then, uh, this was like before Discord was even relevant. And I remember getting onto the Smash 4 Skype group and telling people that I was better than Scat. And they like there's some dissenters. They're like, oh yeah, whatever, kid, and rightfully so. I didn't do anything. He was like top eighting majors in early Smash 4 and whatnot, and I hadn't gone to a local. But I, for whatever reason, I was like, I can be better than this guy. Um, Uh, so for like the first year of Smash 4, I just grinded online because at this point I'm still young. Um,
Mhm.
so I went on Enter's Ladder and just grinded, and I got pretty good results on Enter's Ladder. I got to like be like top. I don't know. I couldn't give you a number, but I was top something of the ladder. Like I was notable. People knew me on like the Smash for 3DS ladder. Um, and it took me over a year since the game came out to enter a tourney, and then I did well there. But Scat was the guy that I thought I was better than, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah, Scout was an incredible player in his own right. He played Wee Chuck, didn't he? I think.
In Brawl, he did, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Um,
Mhm.
so obviously you've been now competing in Smash for quite a long time, nearly around 8 years, right? Since you started in around 3DS time.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say has been like the best part about your journey? Like, how do you feel about competing in Smash? What's the best point that you've experienced?
That's a deep question and answer. It's like it's changed me as a person. Uh, so for the very first tournament that I entered, which was in 2015, like I said, it took me a year from when the game came out to finally enter a tournament. The first few tournaments that I entered, like first handful or so, I just like showed up. I didn't talk to anyone. I played and then I left. Uh, it took me like a couple years after to realize that at my first few tournaments, people thought I was just like rude or an a hole, and it's because I didn't talk to anyone. But now, over the years, um, I've become more of a people person, less introverted. I think I still am deep down, but um, here I am in front of like an audience, uh, some people I recognize, and like I can do things that I didn't think I could, uh, like socially.
Hmm.
So yeah,
It's definitely improved your like social skills, and I'm sure you've made a lot of great friends from being within the scene.
yes.
Um, so obviously you have done well in a fair amount of tournaments throughout the years. Do you have anything like what goes on inside your head when you're playing well? What do you feel?
So the the most important thing to me is as of recent, because me getting good is only like a recent development in my eyes. But the prep that I do going into a tournament is the most important thing. If I'm not prepped, then I might as well not be there. Um, if I am prepped and I go in and I do well, like I'm playing towards my game plan. I'm beating people, making my first top eight at a major. Then I feel accomplished because this is what I worked towards. The goal is to replicate that kind of success over and over again. So I'm going forward. I'm going to be studying a lot to do that.
Okay. Do you have like a pre-game like ritual or like a pre-tournament ritual that you go through to prepare yourself for these big events?
I breathe and I drink water. I don't have anything abstract. It's just normal stuff. I do something called square breathing, I guess, which is more specific that you may not have heard of. It's it's nothing fancy. You just breathe in 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, hold that for 4 seconds, and that's it.
Okay. Okay. Um, so obviously in high level competitive Smash Bros, you have a lot of different scenarios and different situations that you are involved in. Advantage, disadvantage, ledge trapping, neutral, all those sorts of things. What part of your game specifically do you feel that you are the best at? What are you most confident in?
Mm, so I think what I'm most confident in is probably neutral, because that's the thing that I've been working towards the most, and it's all revolving around like positioning, um, in order to avoid what the opponent wants and get what I want. And I was pretty successful in that, on my most recent run. But like I said, I'm still working on um, in every area still. I still have a lot to go, but I think what I've improved in and what I feel most accomplished in the past, I guess, year is neutral.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great, to be honest. I mean, neutral's obviously the most important part of the game. You can't press any advantages without winning neutral. Um, so obviously, again, playing in these high level scenarios, it can get quite you can experience quite high pressure. Do you have anything that you do other than obviously the square breathing, which you've already talked about, that helps you like calm your nerves? Do you, or is it just that's probably quite related to the question I asked earlier, isn't it?
It, we could get a different answer here. I mean, during the game, it's good to when you do have moments of um, brevity, is that the word? A moment to spare. If you have a moment to spare during the game, you can just take that moment to breathe. That's what I do. But not only breathe, but think about what you want. What remember what your game plan is at that moment. So like if I lose my stock, that's going to be like 5 seconds of nothing happening. That's my time to breathe and think about the game plan again. If the opponent dies, that's like 5 seconds of thinking again. If they're off stage and they're robbed and they're stalling with like up B to where I can't hit them at all, that could take like upwards of 10 seconds. That's another moment for me to just think about what I want.
Um, okay. So obviously, again, you've been to many, many, many tournaments now. Do you have any sort of tournament series or tournament venue that you've enjoyed the most? Do you have like a favorite?
hmm It's probably the I forget the name of the venue, but it's where MomoCon is hosted every year. MomoCon and DreamHack Atlanta, which is coming up. It's in Atlanta. It's just a huge convention center. It's next to like the headquarters of Cartoon Network, which is this U.S. Um, programming, like cartoon programming channel. For those of you not in the
Yeah, we
U.S.,
have it in the UK as well. We have it in
all
the
right,
UK as well.
cool. And uh, at at CN headquarters, Cartoon Network headquarters, it's just huge food court. I go there and I have like a regular that I get at like a nice Chinese food place, and I'm very familiar with just the Atlanta. Well, uh, I guess that venue because I've been there so many times, so it's nice to be there.
Cool. Well, can you elaborate further? What is your regular order?
It's just like noodles and like orange chicken and rice, probably. Uh, yeah, nothing fancy.
Orange chicken is still a good choice. Um, so big tournaments. They have a lot of high level players, players who are around your level, lower and higher. There's, an incredibly crazy amount of um high level people. Do you have like say you're going up against a really like MK Leo, for example, would you go through a process of what you would do to prepare for him or to prepare to meet him in bracket? Do you have any like analysis or things like that?
Yeah. So something that I've been doing only in like the past few months um, is studying not only people's character but who they are as a person, like their tendencies, their habits, stuff like that. And so far, it's been netting me a lot of reward to to know what the other guy wants, so that I can avoid it or punish them for it. So um, I will look at MKLeo, their most recent replays,
Mm.
um, tournament matches rather, and I'll just see. what they like to do when they're this distance from me, what they like to do when they get hit by me, what they like to do when they're in the corner, what they like to do when they're in the center, what they like to do when they're off stage, what they like to do when I'm off stage. Just list off everything you can think of, every position, and you'll find you'll find things that they tend to do, or you'll find just straight up habits. And then once you have those written down, locked in, you can take advantage of those. You can then create your game plan based around all of those tendencies and habits that you find.
Yeah. Um, so following up from that, obviously you said earlier you feel like this past year is where you've really started to experience a growth in terms of your skill level.
hmm
Would you say what would you say would have been your toughest set in the past year,
Um,
if you can remember?
mhm. So when you say toughest, the first thing that I think of is it's got to be like a game 5 set, something something that I had to like really grind for, win
Yeah, for
or
sure.
lose. Um, so I had a really tense game 5 with Anathema or Steven at MomoCon a few months ago. I did win that. That was tough, and I was very proud of it as well because I prepped. Um, then there's, I mean, in terms of just like me getting mollywopped within the past year, there's also me versus DD, which happened a few months ago. I got double three stocked by DD, and that really kicked me in the behind. So I started grinding Steve and studying upcoming Steve players that I would play. And this was like back in March or April or something. I am happy to announce that I have not lost to a Steve since DD kicked my butt. So I feel good about that. That was in terms of just stats, like how many stocks were taken or that I took. That is the toughest set that I had. I took 0 stocks.
Um, that's rough.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so my final general question before I go into specific ones that other people have asked is what do you think of Mega Man as a character and how do you think he matches up to the wider area of the rest of the cast in the game?
Um, I couldn't give you a number if you're looking for like top 10 or top 20 or whatever.
Oh no, no, no,
Uh,
no, no.
good because I my plain answer is he is good. He is good enough for what I want to do, which is win a major. He is good enough to not be countered or like require a secondary. Um, so since he's good enough, I'm sticking with him. And I know he is tough to succeed with, but as long as you put in the effort, it's doable.
Okay, cool. So the first question I have for you is from Mega Ant-Man. And his question is how do you know when and how to use pellets in certain situations? For example, catching your opponent's jump or resetting a situation in neutral, as opposed to using other projectiles or moves.
hmm So pellets are by themselves they do like 2%, and that and then maybe you could get like a pellet nair combo and put someone off stage or like in a tech scenario. Well, why would you go for pellets when you could like whiff punish someone um, with like metal blade out of shield? Like you could either toss metal blade to whiff punish, or you can shield something and then Z drop, or you can shield something and then footstool and Z drop. Um, or if you want to catch someone's jump, why would you pellet when instead you could just up air or back air? Um, or catch their landing with dash attack, or catch their landing with metal blade toss. The big issue with pellets is the opportunity cost. By pelleting, you are giving up something else, like up air or metal blade, whatever. or leaf shield, what have you. All these things that can net us so much reward, we are foregoing um, just to hit someone for 2% and potentially hit them in like a tech scenario or like off stage, but that's not always guaranteed. Um, I would rather position myself to get bigger hits that matter more.
I believe this is the next four questions. Wow. Okay.
Now,
Is from
before we go on to the next question, sorry, but there's a second part to my answer.
oh, sorry.
So like sometimes there could be a position where pellets seem okay. Like for instance, if you're in the corner, I think pelleting has some merit because you could like pellet, and then the mix-up is like you could jump over your opponent and get to center. You might take a hit on the way there, but at least now you're no longer in the corner, stuff like that. And what solicited this exchange of corner for center was you shooting a pellet and like locking the other person down for like a split second. Um, this still is like an edge case scenario for pellet. But there may be some other scenarios, like for instance, pellets find more value when you can combine it with other actions. So, like for instance, if you can pellet and pick up the metal blade at the same time, you're doing a 2-in-1. You're shooting a pellet and picking up metal blade, so that's pretty good. If you can pellet while, I don't know, getting back on stage versus someone that you know is bad at punishing pellets, then that could be good too. Um, the you're not only um, looking for these opportunities where pellet may be decent, but you're also looking for the kind of opponent that you know gets flustered by pellets. I feel like using them as like something to annoy the other person may have some merit as well, but you'll have to study the person beforehand in order to actually conclude that pellets would be good versus this person. Um, there may be some people or characters that just don't get affected by pellets at all, aka they don't get annoyed by pellets, or they have a character that can just slice through pellets with like one swift aerial, like a cloud back air or something. In which
Like
case,
a Bowser tough guy. Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. In which case, just don't use pellets. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, oh goodness me, he's asked a lot. I've got questions from Croco Loco next. So his first one is, what do you think helps the most when people are playing around pellets properly?
hmm Uh, what helps the most is stopping your pellet usage for sure. Because if they're countering pellets, then just stop pelleting. Um, you can. I feel like Mega Men may rely too much on pellet for like their neutral. Um, hoping to like pellet someone and then they shield and then you grab their shield, or like other trickery. Pellets just come with huge. Um, every time you pellet, that's at least like half a second where you can't really do anything else, right? Um, one pellet by itself is like 32 frames of end lag, 34 frames, something like that. That's a lot. If you pellet at the same time as a Roy jumps, guess what? You're getting Roy nared. It's just not good. Um, plus, again, the reward that you would get off of hitting a pellet is like 2%. Maybe tech chase, maybe hit them off stage, whatever. Compare that to like Roy nair. If a Roy hits you with nair, you're getting corner carried for like 40%. Or maybe you get put onto a platform and then Roy up air juggled for like 50% or something. Uh, pellets, the risk reward of pellets is super skewed, not in our favor. That's why I'm using them less and less. And I hope to see that going forward for a lot of other Mega Men. It's nice to like jump and shoot and stuff, but the risk reward not in your favor. Um, once you do get a hit, it's like whatever. Plus the opportunity cost of not being able to like defend yourself against a Roy Nair by shielding, or the opportunity cost of not being able to up air someone. It's too much. So if someone's really good against pellets, just stop using them. and rely on some other tactics uh, that are not pellets, like positioning well so that you can get the big hits that you want. Like I said earlier, with Metal Blade and stuff.
So my question was, what do you think that Mega Man players can do much better to increase both Mega Man's usage and his results?
Okay, cool. So part of that has already been answered with just stop pelleting.
Yeah.
Um, I recommend we like look back at my recent VODs at Riptide or anything else at like my locals or whatever, um, and just look at the times I pellet, and I recommend like counting how many times I get punished for pelleting, because it's going to be a big eye opener. And then if you count just how many times I pellet in general, like throughout the match, and then compare it to someone else who pellets a lot, I want you to see who succeeds more, the guy who pellets more or the guy who pellets less. Um, so just limit pelleting is one thing, and another thing is we need to get better at, well, this may be too general, but like positioning in order to get the big hits that we want. I talked about this earlier. Um, to go into specifics, if you understand a character's range, so like for Roy, if he short hop nairs at someone, what's the position you would need to be at in order to shield the nair and then get like a Z drop? Well, that's for you to discover. I've discovered that it's like about a roll and a half to one roll, something like that. So I'm constantly finding these positions where I understand what they want. Roy Nair, everyone wants a Roy Nair, and I'm just putting myself in that position to, in case they do a Roy Nair, they're gonna get full punished for it.
Mhm.
And then that's something else we have to work on as well. Work on our punishes. Um, I uh, I believe I was one of the first people to integrate footstooling out of shield, um, in Ultimate at least. Uh, I did it. You could like find VODs of it as early as like February 2020. Um, and I'm doing consistent like footstool leaf shields, which are always 20% on things that you wouldn't think would be punishable, like Pikachu aerials or Fox aerials, Fox Nair, Chic Nair,
Yeah.
whatever. It's all super punishable as long as you have that tech. So practice that tech. Um, and then just Z drop out of shield is also frame 5, which is huge. That gets you um, your bread and butters at early percent. That gets you kills at late percent. Um, work on that. Work on keeping other people in bad positions. So like Meister is out here getting second at majors frequently off of just up airing people with Game and Watch. Why can't we do that with Mega Man? Um, he is consistently keeping people in the air for like an entire stock, and then once they are down to the earth, then he gets like an up smash, right? Uh, Mega Man can do the same exact thing. Why can't we up air someone for their entire stock, and then once they come back to the ground, we up tilt them?
Yeah.
There's very little difference, um, and so there's another thing is we need to learn when we are in a bad position and to not act uh, with the wrong moves when we are in that position. So, like for instance, to bring it back to Roy, um, if you find yourself a little too close to Roy, then our goal is to get to that one and a half roll position. Yeah, the there are many ways to do that. We could like walk back there, dash back there, roll back there. What happens if we jump back there? Well, if we're too close to Roy, and we jump, what are we going to get hit by? We're going to get hit by Nair. So we need to recognize what is off limits depending on the position. So that's these concepts apply to like every I guess stage of the game. So
Mhm.
like whether it be disadvantage, advantage, neutral. Um, if you if you understand what you have time for, then you can milk a position for as much as possible, and that's going to net you your stocks uh, earlier and more frequently. Like if you don't have time to set up um, a fair to ledge trap someone, like let's say this fair is to cover them jumping. If you don't have time for that, then if you try it, uh, then you'll fair and it'll whiff and they just get like a roll. And then you're cornered and they're in center because you tried to go for something that you didn't have time for. So that's just another example. Um, yeah, that's it for now.
So the next question is from a guy named Redbird. So as you're well aware, there's two different kinds of techs. There's, tech role situations and things like that, like a tech chase. But there's also character specific techs, like as you mentioned, footstool, leaf shields, and stuff. So, guy named River's question is, what are the most common Mega Man techs that would be used in neutral, and which of them are most optimal to use in disadvantage and advantage, along with when should you use them?
hmm So Mega Man text for neutral. There's something very powerful about um, the leaf shield cancel. I forget if we've given it a name for it, like the capo or something like that. Um, but being able to leaf shield someone and confirm whether they got hit by it or whether they shielded it is very, very strong. Um, if you see that they get hit by leaf shield, then you can just continue the move and do your 20%, knock them away. That's great. If you see that they shielded it, then you can do the leaf shield cancel, uh, and and then you're safe. So that that's crazy. No one else has something like that in this game. Uh, and we can mix that up with movement that keeps us ambiguous. So, like for instance, if we jump at someone and they're like, "Oh crap, he's gonna do the leaf shield," then we can, with Metal Blade still in our hand, then we can instead of doing um, the leaf shield from before, we could actually do another tech instead. We could do like air dodge drop on someone's shield, and then that's just a free grab. And if they like rolled away, then we air dodge dropped and we're completely safe. They rolled away. We don't get punished for it. Um, if they spot dodged, we grab that anyways. Mega Man's just ability um, to like get free grabs, free confirms off of these really hard to punish um, tactics with like moving around in the air with his good aerial mobility. Um, keeps us ambiguous, and then being able to just like fast fall on someone with like grabs, mix that in with our like B reverse leaf shields into leaf shield cancel. Like this is all hard to deal with, and all of these net us great reward. Um, if you get a grab, you throw them off stage, and putting someone off stage as Mega Man is great because all it takes is like one good decision, one good down air, 2-frame down air. By the way, super safe to just 2-frame down air someone, and that could be the stock. Um, we need to like simplify uh, stocks going forward. Um, basically, taking them in as few interactions as possible would be great. Why spend half the match pelleting someone to 100% when you could throw them off stage at 30% and potentially kill them? Um, these techs, the leaf shield cancel, air dodge drop, uh, facilitate that. And you can also get other combos. You can, if you do the leaf shield tactic, there are some characters where you can, if you see that they're getting hit by the leaf shield, you can run into them and then toss Metal Blade upwards to cancel leaf shield. And the Metal Blade hits them. It'll like hit their face if they're tall enough or wide enough. And then that actually just combos into up tilt. So you are killing someone with a confirm off of leaf shield in neutral because of this one weird tech. It's super cool. Super strong is the important part. So yeah, that's that kind of um, that trifecta right there of that air dodge drop, leap shield cancel, and then just like being able to move anywhere in the air. Super powerful techniques.
So I asked you earlier about what was your toughest set. But now I want to ask you, what was your least favorite set?
Mm, least favorite. Give me a second. Give me a second.
For sure, for sure. It's a tough question.
At the time, my least favorite set was probably both my sets that I lost at SmashCon, which were versus iModders, the Wolf, and Jared is King, the Shulk. I had I had like practiced versus the characters themselves, but not versus the players, and so I lost rightfully for not practicing the players. Um, I felt like going in, I had a good shot of just winning because I had played uh, other players of those characters and won recently. So like I played Moxie earlier in the year and won versus her. I won versus what's his name? Uncivil Ninja just a few weeks before SmashCon as well, who plays Shulk of course. So I felt like I didn't need to prep as much for those characters, but I really was wrong in thinking that because you need to prep for the player as well. So losing those didn't feel good. So those are my least favorite.
Okay. Um, so the next one is from Sanu, and that is, what is your practice routine? How do you go day to day practicing on how to improve?
So my main practice routine is just as of recent studying people. Just pick up a VOD, just um, YouTube, find the most recent result of that player, and then go into a match, have it at, if possible, 60 frames per second. That's important. And I do what I referred to earlier. Just look at everything they do from every which way position you could think of, um, and try to understand that player on a deeper level. Try to understand what they want, and once you understand them, then you can form a game plan around that. And that game plan will um, many people may have different ways of like wording or listing out things that they want to do in a match. But the way I would list out a game plan is just like stay at this distance here. If you're not at that distance, you can do this to get at that distance, or you can do this other option instead to play from the suboptimal distance. Or you can when they're in the air do this, when they're in the corner do that. That's very bare bones way of describing how I would make a game plan. Yeah. And
So,
then training mode is important. Just being able to
oh
move
yeah,
around in training mode. Go into training mode and practice your combos, practice your movement, and I mean everything, uh, every which way you can move. So like lots of people suck at doing turnaround grab. That's something you can practice in training mode. Um, People suck at doing RAR. You can practice that in training mode. People suck at doing the ledge trumps, like running from like ledge roll distance to just dropping off or running off the stage and trumping someone. I screw that up um, too often, and so I'm gonna go back into training mode and practice on that. Uh, I suck at, or well, uh, I'm decent at doing the ledge wall jump. Like when you're hanging on ledge, if you drop off ledge as Mega Man, you can wall jump instantly. Um, I'm decent at that, but I think everyone else can afford to get better at that as well. So go into training mode and practice it.
yeah. Okay. So I have these last two questions. How do you feel about PG's emphasis on your crash bomb usage, and how do you work around using crash?
hmm So I believe I got that. The question was, how do I feel about the PG stats video about the crash bomber, and how do I work around it?
Mhm.
Okay, so it was surprising to me to see the stats in that video. I didn't realize how successful it was. So that was very eye opening to me. That was awesome. Um, now that I know how successful it is, I'm gonna try to um, just continue what I've been doing with Crash Bomber. Maybe do it a little bit more. If you find something that is successful, then do more of it. So the there's even more that we can do with Crash Bomber than what I showcased um, at Riptide. Like I hope to one day in bracket get the Crash Bomber onto like someone's forehead and then grab them, and then it'll Crash Bomber will explode. It'll break the grab, and then I get an up tilt on them. Um, I hope to show off more Crash Bomber edge guards. I hope to show off more um, Crash Bomber combos, just like straight up uh, knowing the exact path it'll go, exact timing, stuff like that. Um, my main usage of it at Riptide was more hit them and then hope they roll in, and it happened a lot. But there's even more that we can um, do to find success with Crash Bomber. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, and the final question is, if you had one thing to say for anyone aspiring to reach your level and higher, what would it be?
If you want to do it, you can. It's all about the amount of effort you put in. You can do things that you wouldn't think you could. Um, but if you put in the effort, you'll surprise yourself.
Awesome. Okay, that's the end of the Q&A, guys. Thank you so much, Peeb, for joining. Thank
Hmm.
you so much for the great answers. Thank you for the insight. I'm sure everybody who's joined has really appreciated it. Um, but yeah, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night. I myself am going to bed. I've got university in the morning. And same with everybody else. Thank you so much for everybody for coming. It's been a great turnout. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day or evening or wherever you might be. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.